The following is a production of the University of Minnesota.
If you have a wetland area or heavy clay soil area that you want to enhance, we're going to look at a couple native grasses that could work for you. This wetland that's near me, we have some good native plants here, some goldenrod, aster, but we also have a lot of reed canary grass, some quackgrass, and some Canada thistle. So you want to analyze these tough areas, and where the plants are the less desirable plants, you could put in palm sedge or switchgrass that we're going to look in. It would make the area look much better. We're looking at the native palm sedge, Carex muskingumensis. This is named after the Muskingum River in Ohio. This plant is native to wet conditions, riverways along the Mississippi in Minnesota, and it's great along lake shores or wet sites. It will tolerate sun or shade conditions, and it will grow even in drier sites, but it really gets big and prolific in wet conditions. Now this plant can self-seed. You often see the seed heads on it, and if it self-seeds along an area where you want to control erosion and keep the soil, that's great. It won't self-seed into a turf area that you're mowing because it doesn't tolerate being cut back and mowed. It will grow 2 to 3 feet tall and will tolerate sun or shade, and by mid to late summer it tends to fall over a little bit like you see here. But it's an attractive sedge, being called the palm sedge because of the way the foliage comes off the stem. It's a very tough plant, especially for wet conditions in Minnesota. A grass that has great potential for you to grow on your grounds or golf course is switchgrass. Now this is our native grass that we find growing in the roadside ditch, and you've probably passed it every day when you've been driving in Minnesota. But there's a huge variation in the kinds of switchgrass or Panicum virgatum that you can get. Shenandoah here on my right is a redder form that's been out in the trade now for a while. It's kind of short. Thundercloud is a new form that's very big, tall, like 7 feet tall. You can see behind me. There's prairie sky over here. There's dewy blue. A great big light colored one that looks like a cloud is called Cloud 9. There's huge variation in switchgrass. This one is called Huron Sunset. It's shorter and a red form. You really don't need to buy all of these switchgrasses. Of course, you can just buy one of them. But as a native grass, this is a plant that can grow in a wet ditch, heavy clay soil. It loves full sun. That's about the only requirement. Otherwise, it will grow in a wide variety of soils, but tends to prefer heavy, wet, and clay soils. Switchgrass can self-seed, so you might find it in the beds where you're planted it. But again, it won't grow in turf because it can't stand the mowing that you do in regular maintained turf grass. One of the nicest cultivars is Northwind. This, although people have reported they've had some hardiness problems, this is a form that comes to us from southern Wisconsin. And Northwind is very stiff and upright, as you see here. The stems on it are like arrows. They're really stiff and upright. It's got wide olive green foliage and really makes a nice screen or hedge. So Panicum virgatum switchgrass is an easy plant to grow. Lots of variation in different forms. Northwind is one that's especially good for a screen or a hedge. So we've looked at 5 tough grasses for upland or lowland sites. I hope this gives you some good ideas, some things you can think about and use in the future on any of the grounds that you maintain. If you want more information, you can look online for the Ornamental Grasses for Cold Climates bulletin that I wrote at the University of Minnesota. So you just put in Ornamental Grasses for Cold Climates and that will come up. Or come to the Arboretum. Look at the ornamental grass collection that's here. Many of the display gardens and natural areas will give you a lot of great ideas.